It was amazing. When I first started to get involved with this, which is 2 years ago with meditation, I'd heard stuff about Tantra, and people said, well, you need to check this out. And I thought, boy, that's going to be really complicated and really thick and so many different levels to it. And it seems to be amongst the simplest of all the practices.
It really is, and it's really, if we've accomplished anything tonight, I hope that it can be to shed some light for people that this is really something very simple and very basic and really very core to our whole spiritual development, and that it's not about all of the sort of stuff that flows out of it into different lifestyles and obsessions and whatever. In fact, we very often have people asking in the forum. We have a very large forum connected to the website where people can ask questions, and we discuss all sorts of things, and we have a lot of really wonderful practitioners there who help people, and I'm there. And we get into questions so often that are about excess and obsession and pornography and all this sort of stuff, and what I always say, which surprises some people, is use your sexual obsession to bring it back to the basic principles of Tantra, which is preservation and cultivation of your sexual energy. Now, if you're so obsessed that you're addicted, you have problems, in terms of harming other people or harming yourself with sexual addictions, then go to a 12-step program and join up, because guess what? That's a spiritual process too, and those people really know what they're doing and can help bring people with out-of-control obsessions back into the realm of reality, if you will. So the first step in the 12-step program is to recognize that there's a higher power, and to surrender to that higher power within yourself, and to basically allow that power to bring you out of your obsession. So I would recommend 12-step program to anybody who has addictions, sexual or otherwise.
Gotcha. Yogani's with us tonight on 1360thesource.com. Take another quick break and then wrap things up on Tantra for tonight. If you've got a question, got a comment, 877-345-3779 is the telephone number here. Locally, it's 513-749-1360. We could certainly view this as a delicate subject, and hopefully we're covering this in an adult, mature manner for you tonight, and we'd love you to check in with us. Give us a break, or give us a call, 1360thesource.com. Telephone numbers here, 877-345-3779. If you'd like to give us a call, and Yogani's our guest tonight. Yogani, as we wrap up tonight in the discussion of Tantra, once again, I've read everything that you've written about it, and it really has just sort of sunk in with our conversation tonight, once again, how simple this really, really is. And, yes, it's a big deal on one level, but it's probably not what a lot of people think.
No, I don't think it is. And the funny thing is it's been around for a long, long time, and I think it's time for us to develop collectively as a society and as a civilization a more clear understanding about this. And I think once we do that, and if we just kind of easily favor the essential principles that are involved here, there's huge possibilities that can be realized in an overall spiritual path. We didn't really talk about additional techniques, but I'd like to mention two of them.
Okay.
One of them relates to a man losing energy in orgasm, and there are a number of different techniques out there. The one that I found most effective is called blocking, and I don't think we'll get into too much detail here.
No, we can come up with code words.
Pardon?
We can use code words.
Okay. In any case, there are ways to block ejaculation in the male. And in fact, let me add one thing. For those who have had vasectomies, we've had some very limited and unscientific research on that. But the people who have had vasectomies that I've been in touch with over the last several years indicate no loss of energy in relation to tantric practices. It is the semen that's really involved in the process. It appears, although I'm sure science will tell us much better in the years in the future, but the actual sperm cells, if you will, do not appear to be a major factor. And in fact, women have a corresponding biology to the semen, and this body chemistry is gradually expanded and transformed in both of the sexes. But I did want to mention about the vasectomy. And then we do have the blocking technique, which is something that's used at the time of orgasm in the male, and it's a very simple technique that can be used. It takes a little getting used to, like everything else in yoga. The other technique I wanted to mention has a very sort of unglamorous name called the count method.
Okay.
and that's to help with the holdback technique in terms of going up these slopes and down these little valleys. And if you employ a count, if you have trouble stopping before orgasm, pick a count number that gets you to the point where you know you need to stop before it's too late, and stop there. So the count method is discussed in the AYP books as well.
And that would be an individual count for everybody.
That's right. It's different for everybody, and it really changes within the same person over time because men and women both develop more staying power. So the count method is a flexible technique.
Okay. And then once the man gets to the point where he's on even ground with a woman, then literally however long you'd like it to go on.
That's right.
You really can go.
Sexual union can easily last a half an hour or longer. It's really just up to the partners. And this gets back to some of that Oriental art you were talking about in the beginning of the show, Scott, where you see people in union playing stringed instruments and reading books and all this sort of thing. This knowledge has been around for a very long time and I think was kept from the masses, but the royalty knew about it. And those are the people they were painting.
Yeah, well, those are the ones that could afford to get their pictures painted.
That's right. They weren't painting, Joe Smith down the street with his wife, and because Joe Smith and his wife down the street didn't know these techniques. No. But now Joe Smith and his wife will know these techniques, just like the rest of us.
It is for the masses now. And,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's interesting. Well, I really appreciate the wealth of knowledge that you've got and how you've been so willing to share that with us, and I'm sure that that there's going to be more and more people that are going to be joining the Advanced Yoga Practices with an S website and the forums there, because the actual lessons themselves are a wonderful introduction, but the forums themselves are the place to go where you really get a chance to dive in and to become part of the community and create relationships and share information back and forth. Have you got an idea of an average length of stay of somebody? I mean, if they've joined the forum a couple of years ago, most of them still around?
Well, the forums have been around, I guess, about almost 2 years now, so not that long. The AYP writings have only been around a little over 3 years, so we're still very young, but we're just making huge strides in terms of people's experiences, and reading in the forums will really give an idea of what people are achieving with these practices by their own efforts, self-directed. But one thing I would recommend is it would be good to read the lessons, or at least some of the lessons or the books, before you dive into the forums full-blown, because the forums are not the best place to learn this stuff from scratch.
Not the basic parts.
The forums are the best place to come with questions and share experiences and read other people's experiences. But if you're really looking to learn this stuff, I would recommend reading the lessons. They're laid out for that. And once you get sort of grounded in the lessons, then you can go in the forums and it'll make a lot more sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like learning how to play the guitar. If you don't know where the strings are, and you don't know which ones are at the top and which ones are at the bottom, if you just go start reading sheet music...
yeah, or hang out in a room full of guitar players.
Right. You can try it, but, it's not going to give you as much...
The purpose of the lessons in relation to the forum are to provide a foundation and a sort of a common ground that everybody can work from.
Okay. Yogani, once again, thank you so much for your time. The website, advancedyogappractices.com. Numerous books are there for you to take a look at, whether it's meditation or spinal breathing or bandhas, mudras, asanas. A wealth of information, so check that out for yourself. We'll see you again here next week on 1360thesource.com.